A Shalom, Kol Halah, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, Ba'Shem Chahadash, the ones of the apostles of Great Millstone, and Shalom to brothers in the highways and byways doing the work sincerely and faithfully and continue to fight that good fight of faith, Lord willing, we're found in that number to be delivered. All right, all that with that, I believe I'm going to entitle this "Response to the Other Sheep Which Are Not of This Fold," because Vocab Malone and many others, okay, not just Vocab but many others, truly believe that the other sheep are people of the other nations. All right, and Lord willing, I'm gonna get into another show after this one to really thoroughly go through that as well. But all that being said, on this lesson, I'm gonna play a few videos concerning the sheep that are not of this fold. You know, sometimes you have to have a visual to truly get a little more understanding as to what this is talking about, right? And we've been speaking about who the sheep are and the children of Israel and so on and so forth. But let's get a little bit of visual, and we're gonna listen to a little bit of the conversations that are being had. Now, these videos are going to be how should I put it? More people of different ethnics, if you will, that are living outside of the United States of America. And without further ado, let me just play the video and we'll get into it. Let me just start these videos. There's about 4 or 5. They're not too long. Here's the first one.
Can you introduce your background?
I am half black, half Japanese. My mom is from Okinawa and my dad is from Arkansas in the United States. I was born in Chatham, Okinawa, and I was raised in both Busa, Tokyo, and then Texas, America.
Would you raise your kids in Japan?
I would.
Yeah?
I would raise my kids in Japan, not
Not
America.
America?
Never. I got bullying both in America and Japan, but it was worse in America. So I prefer to raise my kids here when I'm older.
Can you introduce yourself in Japanese?
いいよ。私の名前はメロニです。うちは沖縄とアメリカのハーフです。今アメリカに住んでいるけど、来年日本に戻る。
Can you introduce your background?
All right. So this is an example of a sheep being not of the fold. All right. So her father is, as they say, African American, and her mother is Japanese, right? So this woman is an Israelite. This woman is an Israelite. Now, does she know that she's an Israelite? Probably not, because the majority of these videos I'm going to play, these individuals were all raised under the lifestyle of being Japanese or Chinese or what have you. All right, so they're so far removed from knowing what their true identity is, even to the point where they're so far removed about their father, because again, the majority of them either moved back or stayed in that land when the father probably was out of the picture. So let's go on to another one.
Can you introduce yourself?
My name is Sabrina. I am from Miami, Florida. My mother is Japanese, and my father, he is part Ecuador. People see me as Japanese if I go to school in the States, and then people would see me as a foreigner if I go to school in Japan. I never really felt like I belong to either my friends around me. They would assume that I'm very good in math, whereas I'm not so good at math.
Asian stereotype.
Right, stereotypical. But I didn't really take that as a negative thing at the time. Yeah.
Are you going to continue to live in Japan, or would you consider going back to the States?
I want to be based in Japan, but I want to live in different countries. I want to do that in my 20s.
Can you introduce yourself in Japanese?
Okay. こんにちは。サブリナです。お母さんが日本人で、お父さんがアメリカの人、23歳です。
Do you speak Spanish?
Poquitico. I'm learning.
Can you introduce your...
All right, now here's another one. She's Ecuadorian, also an Israelite, but also living in the lifestyle of the Japanese people. Okay, so Is she is she an Israelite? Yes. But is she one of those ones that have to be returned back to the fold? Absolutely. Now, something important that she said. She said she's a foreigner. They consider her a foreigner. Now, this was one of the terms that was primarily used concerning Israelites that were living outside of the land. Okay? And on top of that, she also mentioned that she didn't know where she fit in. She didn't know if she was, fitting on this side more, or on the Ecuadorian side more. So she kind of felt like she was in limbo, which, due to the fact that the people in the world do not know what their true nationality is. Now, if she were to classify herself as an Israelite, there would be no need to try to, lean towards one side as opposed to the other. And again, we have been stripped of our heritage. And being that we've been stripped, we end up in this condition, not knowing who we are, and trying to bounce between the lines and trying to figure it out, even to the point where if you listen to their voice, you can hear the disappointment that they have because of the fact that, even their peers are like, well, where do you lie? Where do you fall? Which one are you? And this is another thing the Lord is coming to bind up, the brokenhearted. Okay? He's coming to bind those Israelites up as well, who are lost and contrite spirit, and downtrodden. You may look happy on the outside, but inside these people are probably dying inside because they don't know who they are. All right. So let me get a couple more of these bad boys. Where we at here? We go here.
Is your background?
Okay, I'm Christy. I was born and raised in Japan. My father is from America, New York, and my mom's from Nara, Japan.
What was it like to grow up in Japanese countryside as mixed race Japanese person?
There's few foreigners. There's so few, as you know. So like, okay. So when I was a little kid, people see me as a really foreigner, and identity is full Japanese. So I was so confused when I was really young. That was tough. Yeah, that was tough. Until when I was 10 or 10 to 12, I had a bad bullied. Like I used to forget like anything, pencil, textbook, anything. Then if I asked them, like my friend refuses at first time because if I touch it, they said it turns darker. So don't touch it, or it's getting dirty. So I couldn't have any much more friends. But I entered the junior high school. Then I focused on to have my identity as Japanese and being black. What I learned was there's no differences from the outside, like your figure. Just if you show your inside, they'll accept you. I've learned it. But it was still not enough. That's why I changed the place to live. Left Miyazaki.
You mentioned the inside, your personality, right? What do you think about your personality? You think you're very Japanese because you were born and raised in Japan, right? But you travel abroad by yourself. That's not something that Japanese people do, especially girls, right?
Yeah.
And what do you think? What do you think about your personality?
Okay. I take challenges. So that's why maybe I had guts to go so many countries that I really want to know that culture because.
All right, so I'm not getting too much on that, but again, she made some key points. She spoke about how, she was a foreigner. She was considered a foreigner, and that she also was she was full Japanese custom. And this is what happens when Israelites venture off into different lands. They sort of take on the customs and cultures of those people. Hence the terms Hellen and Hellenistas. These people that, take on the philosophy, the language, the culture, the ways of life. This is what it has become for Israelites who are scattered abroad in different countries. And these are the ones that constitute the sheep that are not of the fold. You know, and again, you can hear it in her voice, the despair that she was being picked on, being bullied. You know, they said if you touch something, it's going to turn darker or it's going to be dirty. All right. And that's just the way, this is what happens to Israel when we're throughout the four corners of the earth. You know, we're quickly pinpointed and we're quickly degraded. All right. And she said her father was from New York. So you know he was a Jake. All right. So continuing on. We're going to get some scriptures after this too. Continuing on. Where we at here? I think it's this one here. It's next up. No, that's an old one. That's an old one. Well, that's probably it for the videos. Let me see what's one here.
自分のバックグラウンドとかを紹介してもらっても大丈夫ですか、最初。
はい、アメリカと日本のハーフなんですけども、アメリカで生まれて5歳ぐらいの時に日本にお母さんと一緒に来て、そこから全部義務教育とか大学まで日本で過ごしました。
Right, so it's basically the same information. You know, her father's a Jake. You know, they talked about her and her hair and her skin color and so on and so forth. All right. But all that being said, let's get down to some of these scriptures. All right, so we're going to start with John 10 and 16. And it says, other sheep I have, which are not of this fold, them also I must bring. And they shall hear my voice, and there shall be one fold and one shepherd. All right. You can't turn a goat into a sheep. All right. And this is why when the Lord mentions, you know, in the time of the harvest, the reapers are going to come and they're going to set aside the sheep and from the goats. All right. But for all you individuals out there, you know, vocab and whoever else you may be, you know, you're trying to wipe out the facts that when the Lord spoke about the children of Israel, he was speaking about a specific group of people. And that group of people only. You see? Everybody's now trying to insert, every other nation or nationality of people is trying to insert themselves to be among the sheep. Where it's crystal clear. When the Lord said he was not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel, how does that constitute the nation of Edom? How does that constitute, you know, the Hamites? All right. These are specific nations as well. But the Lord said the house of Israel. Okay. So you people really, you have to understand what's happening right here. You have to understand the dynamics of what's taking place concerning these sheep. You can't just go out and decide you're going to become a sheep overnight. Okay? It doesn't work like that. This is Deuteronomy 30 and 3. It says, that then the Lord thy power will turn the captivity and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations whither the Lord thy power has scattered thee. Okay? Now, you people, when you read these scriptures, you clearly can read that the children of Israel were scattered. No doubt. All right? It is a known fact that the children of Israel were scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. You don't read about the scattering of all these other nations to the point where, you know, the children of Israel took on every type of nationality and philosophy and language you can possibly think of. All right? So the Lord says he's going to have compassion and turn back that captivity. And just listening to these women, you know, for an example, you know, will the Lord have compassion on them? The scriptures say the Lord will have mercy on whom will have mercy. Now, even though They don't know they're Israelites, even though they may never even heard of an Israelite. But their spirit is crying unto the Lord just by how they're so confused, and they just want to feel like they belong somewhere. The Lord is going to be here to bind us up from all that. All right? Did he not say in the book of Matthew, the 5th chapter, he's going to bind up the brokenhearted? Okay, let's continue. And these scriptures are in no particular order. Just collected a few of them. Ephesians 2:19. It says, "Now therefore, ye are no more strangers and foreigners." Well, wait a minute. Didn't two of them young ladies say they were known as or identified as foreigners? All right. We are no more strangers and foreigners, because when you come back to the Lord and come back to the fold, you now have peace of mind and understanding of who you are and what your history and your heritage is. All right. Now, therefore, ye are no more strangers and foreigners, but fellow citizens with the saints and of the house of the Most High. Right. Now, if it be that the Lord have mercy on these people and all these other countries, and he brings them, through the fire and sets them up, they're going to be what? Fellow citizens with the saints. Meaning what? They're going to be back into their sainthood, because the Israelites are the true saints of the Lord. Okay? The children of Israel are the saints. We're the sanctified ones. Okay? Let's continue on. This is Luke 15:4. Let me open this one up, so I think it extends down to 5 as well. Come on now. And I'm going to start at 3. It says, "And he spake this parable unto them." And it says, verse 4, "What man of you, having 100 sheep, if he lose one of them, does not leave the 99 in the wilderness and go after that which is lost until he find it?" Okay? So again, when the scriptures speak about the lost sheep, okay, what were we before we were lost sheep? We was primarily known as the house of Israel. Right? So now he says what? If a man loses one of his sheep, is he not going to go out and find that sheep to bring that sheep back to the fold where the other 99 sheep are? He's not going to go out the stable and start looking for a goat and say, you know what, let me pass this goat off for a sheep and put him in the stable. No, he's specifically going to go out and look for his sheep. And this is another point you need to take and understand. The shepherd already knows exactly what he is looking for. He ain't looking for a donkey. He ain't looking for a goat. He ain't looking for a mule. He's not looking for anything else but a sheep. Continuing on. And when he have found it, he layeth it on his shoulders, rejoicing. And when he cometh home, he calleth together his friends and the neighbors, saying unto them, Rejoice with me, for I have found my sheep which was lost. All right? So he's not going out looking for any other animal to bring back to the stable, to bring back to his fellows and say, look what I found. Can you imagine that? Let's picture that. He goes out and finds a goat, right? And brings it back over his shoulder and goes to his fellows and says, hey, look, I found my sheep. He's back home. And his fellows are going to look at that and you crazy? That's a goat on your shoulder. That ain't no sheep. You see? So you people, you have to start understanding. And maybe the Lord blocked you from understanding, but I'm going to say it this way. if you lack understanding, then you aren't privy to what the hell's going on here. All right. Once a man goes out and he's looking for something, if your son is out and it's past his curfew, and you go down the street and start calling his name, and you see a Hamite sitting over there, you ain't gonna be like, oh, he's my son, I'm gonna bring him back home. No, because you know exactly who you're going to get. And likewise with the Lord, when the Lord comes back, this is why when the Lord spoke about the reapers in the time of the harvest, he gonna take his sheep, and take his wheat and put it in the barn. But the tares he's gonna burn. All right. Continuing on, let's go back. This is Matthew chapter 25 and 33, and it says, "And he shall set the sheep on his right hand, but the goat on the left." So again, there's no, how should I put this? There's no mixing of the thoughts of whether or not we can identify the sheep and the goat. The sheep are the representation of the house of Israel. Point blank, period. And I'll say it again. The sheep are the representation of the house of Israel. Okay? Through that line, through that lineage. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Through that line is where it travels. Okay? So you people can say all you want that these foreigners and these strangers who are out there, who are the actual other nations, are the ones the Lord is trying to gather up. Why would he want to do that? They mean nothing to him. Okay, just because you read the Bible, that doesn't make you automatically a sheep. And that's what people believe. We've had many people come up to the camp talking about we're spiritual Israelites now. Okay? Doesn't work that way. Does not work that way whatsoever. Now, I believe that was pretty much the last scripture I had. And like I said, I just wanted to make this a real quick point. But going back to these people that we just watched on these videos, all right? These are some of those sheep that are not of the fold. They have been scattered. And wherever their fathers had migrated to, whether they was over in Japan and China, wherever, all in all, them children, these people that we just watched in these videos, are the seeds of the men of Israel. Okay? So now, that gate that is open unto those sheep who are not of the fold, that gate has been open to them. These people. All right? So with that, like I said, I just wanted to make it real quick. And I'm going to end it on that. Lord willing, this was a little edifying, just to give you some insight on, those individuals who are scattered abroad and what they look like and how they're speaking, because they was speaking fluent Japanese, man. Fluent. Because why? They was raised up under those customs. As one of them said, they take on the full identity of being Japanese. Okay? But you can look at their appearance and see. As a matter of fact, let me go back to this first one real quick.
Can you introduce your background?
I am half.
What she got in her hand? She got her a nice slice of watermelon. Don't Jake like watermelon? And and them features right there. But if you would close your eyes and listen to her,
Black, half
you
Japanese.
wouldn't think
My
she was
mom
this
is from
color.
Okinawa and my dad is from Arkansas in the United States. I was born in Chatham, Okinawa, and I was raised in both Busa, Tokyo, and then Texas, America.
Would you raise your kids in Japan?
I would.
Yeah?
I would raise my kids in Japan, not America.
America.
Never.
You see that?
I
You see that? And that's how the children of Israel continue to be on that, foreigner status or that stranger status, because they continually take on the customs of that land in which they dwell in. She's clearly an Israelite. Clearly. But raising of her children, as she said, when she gets older, is going to be Japan. Herself being raised by her mother. Her mother may have I'm just speculating, but her mother could have married another Japanese man, full Japanese dude. We always hear about stepfathers stepping in and providing and being that provider and the comforter of the house or what have you. All right? But that being said, her mother's a heathen. Her mother, at the end of the day, if she's a heathen, she's going to be destroyed. But the Lord may have mercy on her. Why? Because she's one of the sheep that's not of the fold yet. And as he said, and them also I must bring. Now, when the Lord spoke about having compassion, she may never even hear about the truth. But the Lord may have compassion on her for the plight that she has within herself to the Lord. Who knows? All right? So I'm going to end it with that. Lord willing, this was edifying. And I'll see y'all brothers in another show. I say shalom.